All right, welcome back, every people. Thank you for being here. I see I've got at least a couple of people from the early show have come back. Obscure Mysticism Cults, welcome to the Smelt Gang. Doc is back, of course, on his day off. Always good to have him here. He's been unfortunately absent over the last few months because he's had to go back to work. And possibly Blue Jay, welcome. If you are so inclined to participate in chat, you are welcome to. And if anyone is so inclined as to just lurk around, you are also always welcome to just do that. I am good with all of that at all times. So, just kind of still getting myself aligned here. I think we're in good shape. All right. Whoa. Doing bad things. Stop doing bad things, Randy. Okay. Now I think I'm doing good things. Cool. Alrighty then. So, we are playing two albums tonight. Right now we are playing my second album, Infinity -1, and when this is done, we're going to play my 60th album, Finite Reality. It's when the infinite and the finite clash. That's what happens with the mad poet. So we just played the title track of the song, also Infinity -1. This album is very important in that it kind of kicked off my whole rapid fire music composition project back. I released this in 2018, I'm pretty sure, 3 years ago, in August. And then for 11 months, almost perfectly, I missed twice. I released an album a week for 11 months. There were only 2 misses on that. That's not too bad. And some people may recognize the title there as a reference to Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And this next song is also a very important number from the Hitchhiker's Guide, which is just the greatest series of books of all time. We're going to do a little C sharp minor action here. This next piece is called 2 to the power of 276,709. Oh, I see what was going on. I had a weird thing happen. I do believe. Maybe? Something sounded weird to me there. I had a track get knocked out of place. That sucks. Okay. Yeah, you probably lost my audio there for a second. Cool. All right, we're just gonna move forward. I will deal with that part later. Yeah, I had a doubled up guitar solo. Got lost into a bad track. So something weird happened on that. Looks like we've got Tom here. Welcome, Tom. Semitech is back. Welcome back. Do I live with all that smoke? I've got a small smoke machine here. And fortunately, once I open the door, it clears out in about 5 or 10 minutes. So no, it's and it was one of my concerns when I first started doing these shows was whether or not the stuff was going to leave a residue. There's a little bit of glycerin in it's basically water and glycerin mixture that creates the fog juice. And fortunately, it hasn't created any kind of difficulty at all. So no, fortunately, it was definitely something I had given some consideration to. So we got Tom here, we got Doc, we got Semitech, we got Obscure Mysticism Cults, we got Blue Jay, anyone else who happens to be out. My parents are here, awesome. Here we am. Now they're not great at English, but they're better than they used to was. And yeah. Cool. Yeah, I haven't seen Cycling Virgil for a while. Thanks for coming in, Tom. Always good to see you here. Yes. Aliens are always welcome here. So I'm going to disagree with Doc. He is not a no-talent hack. He likes to claim that. He is, in fact, an exceptional drummer. I know this because I've worked with him in the studio. We got Gira here as well. Thanks for coming in. Based Philosophy Mom, good to see you. Excellent to have you here. And so Doc actually has a setup that is a lot cooler than mine. And I've been telling him for ages that his band should be streaming. And whatever, man. You guys should start streaming. So, nonetheless, welcome one, welcome all. We are playing my second album. I will be playing my 60th album once I'm done with this one. We're doing Infinity Minus One and Finite Reality, the finite and the infinite clashing, because that's the kind of thing that we do here. So, moving in on my third song, and I don't know if Renee was able to make it back for the late show tonight, but this song is dedicated to her. And continuing with our very common theme of Red Dwarf, this song is called Echoes of the Future. That's as I mentioned in an early show, this one's set up a little different. I don't always know where to stop my stuff. Yeah, that piece is definitely one of, considering this is such an early album, that's one of those that the idea was there, and the execution of that one is definitely not the way that I would be doing it these days if I were to put that song out now. I would approach things very different from both a compositional and kind of production standpoint. Bud, thank you very much. And it looks like we've got Dr. Gack in here. Glenn, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Always great to have you here. Looks like we got a nice little crowd shaping up in the Mad Poet Society tonight. For those who may be joining just for the first time, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience, and we are the Mad Poet Society. Is there a reason I don't like using these searchable hashtags in my video descriptions? Have no idea what those are. So my video, I'm guessing you're talking on YouTube, so I'm seeing you're on YouTube right now. I've never tried using hashtags in those. Now, unlike all my recent videos that are posted are just live streams. So I've just typed in my title for I've got the last couple of weeks I've been, if you can't handle the metal, stay out of the smelter. You know what? Let's, we're close friends. Why don't we Zoom soon and we'll talk about it. I would like to know more about what your thoughts are. It looks like we've got Therese in tonight, and I saw a mention of Riker, so welcome Therese and Riker and anyone else who may be coming in at any time here. Always good to have you around. Whoever you are, whatever you do, thanks for being part of the Mad Poet stuff. All right. Well, let's see what's coming up next here. I don't think Sarah's actually tuned in tonight. She's upstairs busy doing important Sarah stuff. But this next song is dedicated to my awesome Miss Sarah. And we got another Red Dwarf reference happening. Nice kind of light piece. Kind of changes in the middle a bit. This one is called Smeg. so thank you very much, Tom. That was awesome. I greatly appreciate the tips. I've had a very good tipping day today, so thank you to all of my tippers. The other one, oh, Randy, yeah, I played a house concert at his place, right? Is that the Randy you're talking about? He's a cool guy. I like him. Yeah, well, tell him happy birthday for me if it's the Randy that I'm thinking of. I hope that he is doing well. He's the one with like 8,000 grandchildren or something. Yeah, you're all a bunch of youngsters is what you are. You kids these days and your rock and roll music, tell ya. All right. Speaking of rock and roll music, let's keep playing some of this. We're gonna pick it back up a bit. And let's see, what are we getting? Look at some standard E minor stuff going on here. Nice upbeat piece. You know, as I was talking earlier in the early show, playing these old albums is weird for me. It's such a different, different concept that I was composing to. And I'll admit that as much as I like these albums, I do enjoy playing the newer ones better. And I've just been, as I've been playing here, just on this last, half hour or whatever, I've been just kind of thinking, I might, since I'm doing 2 albums per show on Friday, I might start doing 2 completely different shows and do 4 different albums on Fridays. Because I'm kind of feeling like, and I don't know what you guys think about this, but I've got multiple people in here, for at least Therese, Semitech, Doc, Obscure Mysticism, and possibly a few others who were here at the early show. I don't know how people feel about me just playing the same thing, just in a different purple shirt. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll start doing, 4 albums every Friday instead of just 2. No repetition. But, so I remember reading an article about a small band you guys may have heard of called Led Zeppelin. They've got this one small song called Stairway to Heaven. And so the first time they played that live, that was when they kind of introduced it to the public, the audience hated it. They absolutely hated it because they didn't want to hear a new song. They wanted to hear the hits that Led Zeppelin already had. They didn't want anything to do with this new song. That was stupid. It was unknown. So it's always been kind of an interesting thing from my perspective because I don't write, kind of standard pop-oriented music. Because even in metal, we still have pop-oriented things like a lot of, basically anyone that's got radio play, there's a pop orientation there. So this is very progressive. So probably the people watching, I don't know, we'll try. Obscure Mysticism Cults has weighed in. 4 albums a day would be quite epic. Let's shoot for that next Friday. I'm going to try to do 4 different albums next Friday, 2 at noon, 2 different ones at 8. I've been thinking that I want to write up a light show for City of Souls, which is my 52nd album, because I've never played that one live. There's a lot of them I've never played live. But that, I think, would be a very fun one in a live context. We'll see what happens. I'm definitely going to play 4 different albums. We'll see if there's any new ones in the mix. Therese says, you've already said the way you play your music is different every time. That's true. So just because you're playing the same album doesn't mean you're playing it. Yeah, and that's a very good and valid point. But to me, see, this is... Can't always listen to a full show, and yet, true, so you get the same later. So there's this concept of, and this is what some people kind of leads them to writer's block, which I don't believe in, but there's this idea that something is very obvious. People think that the things that they create are obvious, and what's important to recognize is that it might be obvious to you, but it won't be obvious to others. And this is something I struggled with for a long time, thinking, anyone can write music like I do. Well, I know logically that's not true, because I've studied for a long time. Very few people can go from a blank page to a published album in 5 days, which I've done quite a few times. But it's still, when you do it, it feels obvious. So I guess, you know, to me, I'm playing all these solos and I'm like, God, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. But I don't know. So there's a little philosophical Randy for you there. Anyway, next Friday we are going to do 4 separate albums throughout the course of the 2 shows. We'll see where that leads us. And that's what they always say. True story, Glenn. They always say that. All right. Okay, let's play this next song. E minor, 130 beats a minute. This is called The Darkest Hour. Doc says there's this one song coming up later. It's got guitars and stuff in it. So cool. You know, I was actually thinking maybe I should just spend the rest of the time I have talking about fishing. And then that wouldn't be true. That'd be awesome. Just pure fishing stream. Because I know so much about fishing. I have a fishing pole. And I've caught a fish before. So, I mean, I'm like really an expert. That's what the Mad Poet needs, is more fishing stuff. I should write a whole album about fishing with just fishing titles on my songs. And all of my songs will be in F minor for fishing minor. Yes. Tom says, woke up a couple mornings back from a dream about working at the Burien store. Oh, I bet that's probably their reference to their old Tom. So we got Cycling Virgil is Tom, Doc is Jerry, and they owned a business together. It was a greenhouse type thing, and it was called Tom and Jerry's. And that was a long time ago, yes. Doc had a really bizarre dream a few nights ago involving a former coworker and some trans-universal travel stuff. That's weird. Thank you, Glenn. Much appreciated. Back in the Freddy days. I'm not sure what that one means. I know these we got a whole kind of incestuous group here of people that sometimes are talking completely in-group stuff. Do I still? My bow's sitting right over here, actually. I have not shot it lately. When we moved here to Eastern Washington, it's interesting because we're out in kind of the middle of nowhere, so we got all this space out around us. But right here in our actual yard is not very big. It's the smallest yard Sarah and I have lived together in, but the biggest house we've lived in. So I need to set up, like, in the furnace room next door here, I need to set up like some sort of a backdrop to shoot into in there, so I can do a little of that, just indoor stuff. But no, I haven't shot lately, but I do still have my recurve over there, and it's I love that stuff. So what else we got? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, yeah. That was long before I met any of you guys. Long time ago. Bet you won't write an entire album all in F sharp minor about fishing. You know, you're right, I won't. You're absolutely right, because to me, the idea of writing a song or an album completely in one key is kind of boring. It's interesting in that when I conceived of the first, I think, 6 or 7 albums of this stuff, I was doing them for live purposes only. And I did plan to eventually put them out. And I wrote them all in E minor because it was just easy for me to do at the time. And then very quickly I started getting bored with that. I'm like, okay, let me kind of move these around to some different keys. You know, AC/DC, okay, so let's talk musical genius. So when we think musical genius, we think, Johann Sebastian Bach. We think Segovia. Yes. When we think of the all-time great guitar players, we think of Eddie Van Halen. We think of Joe Satriani. We think of Christopher Parkening. We think of Anna Vidovich. We think of Zhu Feiyong. Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, let's talk about for a moment, for a brief period of time, iconic guitar riffs. We're talking like the riff for Iron Man by Black Sabbath. The riff for Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. The opening to Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. The Crazy Train riff by Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne. Or some more really iconic riffs. Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. There are a lot of them out there. But there's also Thunderstruck by AC/DC. Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC. Back in Black by AC/DC. Highway to Hell by AC/DC, Hell's Bells by AC/DC. I defy you to name me a guitarist who has written a greater number of iconic guitar riffs than Angus Young, who, by the way, shares my birthday. Angus and I have both March 31. I recognize that there's a lot you can say negative about AC/DC, but that guy nails the killer riffs in so many ways. Yeah, Eddie Van Halen had a few very recognizable, iconic riffs. They're out there. Steve Vai, who is inarguably one of the greatest guitar players, no iconic guitar riffs. I don't say that as a put down to Steve. I have tons of respect for Steve Vai as a guitar player and a person. From everything I know, he's a very good person. So I don't want any of this to sound like a put down to anyone. But again, Jimmy Page has not written more recognizable riffs than Angus Young. Jimmy is a great guitar player. Very good stuff. So, hey, Thrash Putin, thanks for coming in, buddy. Good to see you. Always nice to have you here in the chat. So yeah, I think Angus Young should be counted as one of the greatest guitar players. Just based on that, he comes up with the absolute most amazing riffs that we know. There's so many iconic riffs from AC/DC. So that I think should be counted when we are considering musical genius. And even if we just look outside of guitar riffs, to really recognizable, like Für Elise by Beethoven, Toccata and Fugue by Bach, we still, even Bach doesn't have the number of amazing, iconic, recognizable riffs that Angus Young has. So yeah, he may not be the great shredder that Joe Satriani is or whatever, but I've got another killer riff. Oh man, that riff is so iconic. Brilliant stuff. So yes, I absolutely count AC/DC as one of the best, and Angus Young is one of the best. Pat, thank you very much for the $5 tip. Greatly appreciated. We do salute you. So for those about to rock, let's actually here in the Mad Poet Show, we're going to slow it down a little bit. And I am such an airhead. I am like such an airhead. So in the earlier show, I was commenting that I should have contacted my buddy Dave and said, hey, I'm going to play Perpendicular Universes today. You should stop into the show because I know he really likes this piece. And then after the show, my mind went because that's what my brain hole does. And I didn't even think about it. So he's probably not here again because I didn't tell him we're going to be doing this. Nonetheless, this is Perpendicular Universes. All right. So we got to talk about Yoko. So I guess I'm going to be argumentative, Randy, tonight. Okay. No, Yoko did not have any good songs. That's true. But now I find myself in a position where I have to defend Yoko. Because a lot of people talk about how Yoko broke up the Beatles. It's all Yoko's fault. She broke up the Beatles. Well, one, I don't entirely buy into that because the Beatles were going to break up anyway. They went hard and they went fast for about a decade and they were worn out. So there's that. But also, if we're going to credit Yoko with the breakup of the Beatles, then we also have to credit Yoko with all of the great music that the Beatles as individuals did afterwards. So Imagine by John Lennon, we have to credit to Yoko if we're going to credit her breaking up the Beatles. Because that would not have happened had the Beatles stayed together. I'm not saying you should change your mind on Yoko. You should change your mind if you don't think that Angus Young is a great guitar player. I'm not saying you should change your mind on Yoko. Her music, I agree, not good. And when she sang on John's albums, not good. Might as well have had me sing on them. But I'm just saying, if you're going to credit her with the breakup of the Beatles, then you have to credit her with the good stuff the Beatles did afterward, which would not have happened had the Beatles stayed together. So that, we got that. So here's what I defy you, Doc, to find a way to make me say something good about Janis Joplin. Because there is nothing about Janis that I like. Apologies to Janis Joplin fans. I know that they're like I watch. There's a a Twitch personality. I'm gonna see if I can put a shout out here. This gal is just awesome. Where's my exclamation point? Shift 1. Shout out Mandy Prater. She is absolutely fantastic. And I definitely suggest people check out her channel. She's kind of a singer-songwriter type. And she is just a crazy, huge fan of Janis Joplin. And, people who like Janis are just rabid about her. And I will never be amongst those people because I can't stand anything that woman did. So go ahead, Doc. Do your best. Try to find a way to make me defend Janis Joplin. Good luck with that one. But I will defend Yoko, only to that certain extent that I already have. I will massively defend Angus Young. I'm definitely not against defending the underdog at times. There aren't many musicians I just can't stand. Janis is probably my least favorite musician of all time, followed very, very closely. This band worked very hard to be one of the worst bands of all time. That's Poison. They're absolute garbage. I'm being negative, Randy, right now. But let's just get these out there. Don't I Want Somebody to Love? I'm set. I'm good with that. I got those people, so I don't need Janis. So there are a few musicians I can, but most music I really like. I mean, I'll go from listening to, techno, to reggae, to metal, to choir, to bluegrass, to rap, to country, all over the place. I love all of it, but there's not a genre that I don't like, but there are definitely a few acts that I don't like. All right. Moving on along. This next song, definitely one of my better song titles. Nice upbeat little piece, kind of goes all over the place. This is called The First Rule of Tautology Club is the First Rule of Tautology Club. I was definitely not ready for that part where the clean tone chord came up. Really hacked that one up. What we got here? So I saw a few mentions of some musicians out here. You know, I'm really not familiar with John Legend's work. I really can't speak on him at all. American Pie, yeah, Don McLean was really kind of a one-hit wonder. I mean, I can appreciate that. I like Don McLean, but yeah, I know where you're coming from there. Now, when you say I Shot the Sheriff, Tom, I would have to ask, are we talking about the original Bob Marley, or are you talking about the Eric Clapton cover of it? Because I think that the Bob Marley original is pretty kicking personally. I'm not nearly as big a fan of the Clapton cover. I think Clapton did have some very cool stuff, but not that one. I think Clapton with Cream was really that was kind of the heyday. Partridge Family, yeah. There are definitely some bad acts out there. Glenn says, sometimes I get a lull and don't pick my guitar up for a few days. Watching shows like this always makes me want to pick one up and play again. Yeah, dude, definitely. You know, I was talking about this in the early show. Our new friend and follower, Semitech, is an aspiring guitar player, just getting into it. And I was saying, you know, what I tell people is play your guitar every day, even if it's only for a minute. Even if you just pick it up and strum a few chords. Be in that habit of having that guitar in your hands every single day. It makes a huge difference in how you approach it. And once you pick it up, if you have time, you're more likely to keep playing it. So that's one of the things that, yeah, just pick it up, strum a few chords, play a scale, play a couple of your favorite riffs, and set it back down if you need to, but try to do that. Let's see, another thing, Dot Grim, Velo, stuck in my head for days, not a bad song, I like it, stuck it was. I'm guessing that's one of the 42 Effect songs. I don't know the titles of their songs. That's a cool name, cool word. I don't know what it means. Kind of like when I watch an old Rush concert, I can't help but get the dust off the old kazoo. Totally. Actually, Mandy Prater, who I mentioned earlier, I give that shout out to her, links in there. She plays kazoo in her streams sometimes. And she pulls it off pretty nicely. Thank you, Thrash Putin. Thank you, Doc. Obscure Missing, thought something was up there. Yeah, that was me totally missing my chord. I just have a note there to play a chord on the root note, which in this case would be an E minor. And so I usually play like an E minor or an E minor 7, and I kind of played would have been kind of an F, would have been kind of an F minor 7 at 11, but even at that I did not play it well. And that chord, definitely hard to fit into this particular song. So that was just really sad. Went to one of Eric's shows and he gave me the Clapton. Okay, Velo by Julian Lennon. Yeah, you know, I haven't listened to much of Julian stuff either. Steve Miller. Oh, okay. Okay, people, I got it. I'm caught up now. Just finished off my second bone me sandwich today. Feeling sleep. I don't know what that is either. So people are doing things. That's what I've gathered from chat in the current conjecture. And I am playing the wrong chords in my music. Because sometimes the Mad Poet really misses hard. All right, so we're moving in on song number 8 of this album. For anyone who might be just coming in, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. And I hope you are having a good time. If you are watching on Nemo, Nono Live, Africa, Vaughn, or Picardo, my apologies. I have a tough time seeing those. It doesn't look like I've got anyone actively chatting in those. But if you are in wherever you're watching from, thank you very much for coming in. My kind of main two channels are YouTube and Twitch, but I always appreciate people coming in from everywhere. We're playing my second album right now. When this is done, we're going to transition over to my 60th album. This album is called Infinity Minus One, and number 60 is Finite Reality. This is the clashing of the infinite with the finite. People are doing things. It's so true. They're out in the streets talking to themselves, reading books, doing stuff, whatever. Anyway, we're going to slow it down a little bit. Well, this piece is B minor. This one, I talked about this song a little earlier in the early show about it being that, when I'm composing music, I'll put like a note in, like, hey, make this kind of Blind Guardian-esque in this section, or, do this a little bit like Camelot or something. And this song was the first one I referenced as, hey, do this like one of your own songs. I don't remember which song I was composing, but I remember writing, I was getting my outline set up, and I just put in similar to Learning to Fall from Infinity Minus One. And then I put that in, and I'm like, dude, that's really weird. I just referenced my own music to create my own music. It's just a very, very odd thing. Just kind of a weird feeling getting to that. So let's play this. This one is called Learning to Fall. So now we're arguing about sandwiches. Awesome. You know what's why this is a good time to argue about sandwiches? With our argumentative Mad Poet Society tonight, arguing about musicians and sandwiches, and that's about it. What makes this a good time to be argumentative, as some of you may have already guessed, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the first G sharp minor portion of the show. You are welcome. Oh, this song. I'm not a believer in the supernatural, the superstitious, gods or angels, demons or devils, prophecies. Some people claim they have prophetic dreams. Oh, I dreamed that Bob broke his arm, and the next day, Bob broke his arm. I predicted it. Nah. I don't believe it. But I do enjoy prophetic nightmares. I noticed Glenn mentions F sharp minor, which we will be doing again later in the next album. We got one more song left on this particular album. This last song, kind of nice upbeat piece. I've got a lot of those. It's also got a kind of a really cool section that's right in the, excuse me, hydrate. Got a good section in the middle where I do this kind of harmonics solo, where these notes really kind of stand out and are very different. If you're not familiar with harmonics on the guitar, it's a note you can play, you take your hand off, and the note continues to ring. They have a very cool sound, so there's kind of a section there written just for that. And you'll see it when we get there, or you'll hear it when we get there, or you won't. Either way, I'm going to do it, so long as everything continues to work properly and my, entire system doesn't shut down. I should never curse myself by saying I'm going to do this in one of my shows. I know better. I've had entire shows just shut down for all kinds of reasons. F sharp minor is a little fishy. G sharp minor is king. I agree with you. And we're going to play both of them again tonight. I've played both of them already, because I'm a madman like that. All right. Album number 2, song number 10. Last song of this album. We're going to be switching over to Finite Reality as soon as we're done here. This song is called 1,000 Fears. I recently admitted to my awesome daughter that of all my kids, she's my favorite. Renee is. I don't think her brothers or sisters are going to feel too bad about that because I don't have any other kids. So I'm good. But she is awesome. Glad you made it out tonight, hon. Sounds like you got out early, pretty slow. Everyone's eating leftovers. Yeah. Now you see, Doc's just got to be like that. Thank you, Phil. Also, I don't think I thanked you for the Janice tip. Thank you very much. See, Doc's just he's got to put the mushroom thing in, and Renee knows better because Renee was raised properly. She had a good, proper upbringing, and learned that mushrooms are stupid. And the reason I taught my daughter that mushrooms are stupid is because mushrooms are stupid. I don't know why this is hard for some people to get. Weirdos. All right, so I'm going to do the switcho changer. You guys are going to lose me for a moment. You have been listening to Infinity Minus One by the Mad Poet, also known as, me. So we're going to lose my audio for just a moment. I'll try to make this switch over as quickly as I can. Let's see what happens. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, it looks like we are back, kids. Hello, kids. It's time for the second half of the Mad Poet Show. All right, let me get my sheet music properly opened up here. Where's my sheet music properly open up button? When I do this, so I use a recording program called Reaper. And that is basically the headquarters, so to speak, the command center for everything. It controls the lights, it controls my sheet music. And so particularly with the sheet music, my sheet music program doesn't like to cooperate. So if I don't do everything in just the right order, the sheet music program tries to choke up the entire audio system. It's kind of a jerk that way. And so I got to make sure I get everything in the correct order. Looks like we are in place here. Good, we still got audio. Salted mushrooms. That is assault. Kids and your rock and roll music and your mushrooms and your pizza with mushrooms. I have had pizza today. I've played guitar today, so it's a good day. And my pizza had 0 mushrooms, because that's the correct way to do it. So as I was mentioning earlier, it's really interesting for me, this kind of back and forth on shows like this, where I'm playing my older material and my newer material. It's a really significant difference in what I take in visually and my output on the guitar. Very, very different approaches, hopefully both lending to something reasonably entertaining. What do you call a person who works a lot? Yes, that's correct. A person who works a lot. Oh, that took me a moment. God, I'm an airhead. Okay. So this album, I think I have played on stream more than any other. It is a very fun one to play. I think it's one of my better albums. I don't know what I would peg as my best album or as my worst. I definitely know what I would peg as my worst song, but I don't know what I'd peg as my worst album. I don't know if I don't think this one would cut it as my best album. It would be in my top 10. So, might even be in my top 5. I don't know. Let's see what we come up with here. Got to remember to turn my front lights off. Let's make. Okay, guitar's working. That's good. That's good. Let's see what we can do. This song is called The First Funeral. thought that said you were going to toss Tom a garlic movie for a moment. That took me a second there. Tom says, got up at 5 a.m., 8K run, came back down a veggie smoothie. Don't remember the rest of the dream. I didn't run today. I had about a 5.5. I think I did about 5.5 miles yesterday. I was talking about this earlier also. Usually when I run, it's the only form of exercise I do without music. If I'm rope jumping, hula hooping, which I do, I love hula hooping. We got one right over here. I'm pointing out like you guys can see it, even though it's completely off camera. If I'm doing, just regular, push-ups, pull-ups, I'm almost always listening to music for that. But running, I'll normally just go out because there's just so much to just watch when I'm out there. But as I've been working on this new album, I've been listening to it out on my runs, and there's this song. It's the third song on the album. It's called "A Fistful of Light," and it is rapidly becoming my favorite Mad Poet song of all time. It's some of my favorites. "Voices of the Soulless" from Patron Saint of Murderers has always been one that I'm very fond of. "Drink the Fire" off of the album Cyclops is one that I've always really enjoyed. And I definitely, overall, I like my music, but when I was writing Fistful of Light, I didn't think it was going to be very good. I was like, yeah, these riffs seem kind of plain. But as I've been listening to it more and more, it's just like, it's a very, so yesterday I was out on my run. This is the kind of song that I feel like Fistful of Light is. For a run in, I'm out these wheat fields for miles, and I'm running down this road. No cars around because it's just empty out here in the middle of nowhere. And Fistful of Light comes on. It's just like There's just one particular section with these really kind of heavy drone chords and this kind of slower solo, and it's like a running song. Digging it, totally digging it. Really starting to get happy with production finally. There's so much I've learned about production over the last little more than a year that I think that I'm definitely going to count album 65 as my best to date as far as composition, performance, and production. Still not ready to put it out, but it is awesome. I think people are going to enjoy it quite a bit. What else do we got here? Sounds more like a nightmare. Sure. Haven't heard from Dr. Well, no, you wouldn't hear from someone after that because they would, be dead. Oh, the 42 Effect. I didn't see your comment, but thank you very much, Glenn. Awesome. Greatly appreciated. Love the tips. Thank you very much to all. Thank you to everyone just for being here, no matter which channel you're tuning in from. Whether you're Facebook or YouTube or Nemo or Twitch or whatever. Thanks for coming in. We do appreciate you being here. I'm the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Thank you for the tippers. Thanks for my new followers today. Yes. Thank you. What else we got here? Renee, when I worked in retail, I would go home and dream about doing my boring job. Yeah, that is. Retail, not great. German meat factory is the worst. That's awesome. Yeah. If someone was throwing mushrooms at me, I would also leave. And if there was no way to leave, then there might be a little bit of a problem. Fortunately, that kind of thing doesn't come up too much. All right, what do we got here? So let's move on with album number 60. We're playing Finite Reality. That first song off the album is called The First Funeral, and this next one is called The Ghost of Temptation. Doc says, what's the best thing about Switzerland? I don't know, but the flag is a big plus. This is good. What else we got here? Tom says, found $20 in the parking lot and asked myself, what would Jesus do? So I turned it into wine. That just sounds good. I think I'm going to have a glass of wine when I get done with the show tonight. One thing I will say, I never drink when I'm doing a show. I just don't. I've actually never even drank after a show until I get home. If it was like an out in person show, I've never felt like I needed. I think a lot of people feel like they need the kind of lubricant to be able to get up in front of people, whether it's on camera or in person or whatever. I've never had that. I don't mind getting up in front of people. I kind of enjoy it, actually. I was actually at a funeral for a close friend's father once. And there was a letter from a friend of the family that needed to be read, and so he was supposed to read it, and he's like, hey, Randy, could you read this for me? You're good in front of an audience. I'm like, yeah, of course I will. I don't care. Doc has invented a new word, plagiarism. I'm stealing that from you. And I hope you don't like it. All right, where are we at here? What do we got going on with Mad Poet stuff? Oh yeah, 6 hours ago. We're doing a little F minor here. Wait, what was I just playing in? I was playing in D minor. That's right, which is the same as F major. That's why I've got the F in my head. Got it. Picture becomes clearer now. Start to figure things out, because that's what Randy does very, very slowly. This song is inspired by the song Metal Church off of the album Metal Church by the band Metal Church. Apparently they were just really creative with their titles like that. Great band from the 80s. I believe they're still active. And yeah, I'd listen to that. Ida, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, just the main riff, the triplets of the main riff, just kind of inspired by the basic feel of that song. If you know the song, you recognize it's really nothing like that. Just kind of, it's got the same kind of feel in that opening riff. But if you like heavy metal music and you're not familiar with Metal Church, go at least listen to that first album. It's got some pretty kicking tunes on it. Doc says, have you heard about the mathematician who was afraid of negative numbers? He would stop at nothing to avoid them. This is good stuff. All right. Hey, you know, it's just great having a good crowd here in chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Wherever you're tuning in from, you are appreciated. Thanks for the followers. Thanks to the tippers. Thanks to the watchers, listeners, and smellers. Let's do this. F minor. Actually, I think we're playing in a C Phrygian in this one. That's what's actually going on. It might kind of move around a bit. Another thing I like about this song to listen for is it feels like the tempo changes throughout the piece. It actually doesn't. It stays at a fairly consistent tempo. But just the way I go from triplets to straight time to different kind of rhythmic ideas makes it feel like the tempo is changing. And it's yeah. Let's do this. 6 hours ago. you heard of the new restaurant Karma? There's no menu, you just get what you deserve. That would be an awesome restaurant. A woman in labor suddenly shouted, shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, didn't, can't. Don't worry, said the doc, those are just contractions. That's pretty bad. It's great. Bear walks into a bar and says, give me a whiskey and cola. Why the big pause? Asked the bartender. The bear shrugged. I'm not sure. I was born with them. Oh, that's terrible. So bad. I love it. It's great stuff. All right. What do we got going on here? Kind of getting some nice upbeat stuff going. This overall, one of the things I like about this album is it's got a good flow to it. I feel like, you got the good mixture of nice, fast, upbeat stuff like what we just felt there. And we got On the Run coming up. I want to slow it down a little bit. We get into some interesting music theory type stuff for me to solo over. And yeah, it's got a good ebb and flow, waxes and wanes, as an album should. But let's keep it running. This next song is, in fact, called On the Run. got going on in chat here? You guys being crazy. Yeah, you know, I saw Renee say the fog thing, and then Doc was like, fog, and I'm like, okay, wait, is something on fire again? Am I missing something? Or are they just talking about the fact that I did fog? So I'm glad that you guys didn't see something I didn't. Did you hear about the actor who fell through the floorboards? He was just going through a stage. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Been watching too much Big Bang Theory. Haven't ya? That's a fun show. Frida. Okay, that's good. That one took me a moment. I like it when I got to think about them for a minute. I usually get there. I'm a bit of an airhead, but I usually get there. All right. So moving on along. Just see what's going on here. Okay. So this next piece is called You May Be Wondering. And this is the one that, you know, when I played it earlier today, I talked about the fact that it's in E Locrian, which is a diminished mode. And playing diminished scales, it's interesting to get a resolution. So it kind of leads you to think in some different ways. This goes actually from E Locrian to E Phrygian and then back to E Locrian. So you got kind of something that's kind of tough to resolve with, something that's pretty easy to resolve with, and going back. It's an interesting way to do it. Why did the chicken go to the seance to get to the other side? Well, why did the chicken cross the Moby Strip to get to the same side? Welcome back, Dr. Gack. I didn't even know you'd left, but welcome back. Glad to have you here. All right, so let's get a little weird here. Let's get some diminished going and see what we can do with it. This piece is called. We're gonna slow it down for the next couple tunes here. This is called You May Be Wondering. Yeah, some of those are kind of weak, Doc. I'm glad those are not stuff you're making up and that there's something you're looking up. All right, we're going to keep it slow for this next song here. And this is one, I talk about this every time, but it's just so worth talking about. This song is kind of a dual meaning thing for me as far as the people surrounding it. Because this song is dedicated to my Grandma Marie. I was very close. I was close with most of my grandparents. As I've mentioned this before, my father on my mother's side died when I was quite young, but I had a great relationship with the rest of my grandparents. And so they've all had songs posthumously dedicated to them. And this one's also fun because it's in B flat minor, which, as I've talked about many times, in standard tuning, which I am, there are no open strings available in that key. So you have to be very cautious about using your open strings. You don't have it as the safety net that you have in like E minor or A minor type stuff. And also because of my friend Susan, who has actually done a choral version of this and published it on sheet music, which is the first time there's been a cover tune done of my music and published. I think it's really cool that this published cover tune is actually published on paper instead of a recording, which is just awesome. And her version of it is extremely cool. She talked to me, I think the day I released the song, and asked for my permission to do this cover, which of course I was, go for it. That's super cool. And then when I heard what she came up with, it was just like, cold sweat, and it's just awesome. So what do we got here? So why don't calculus majors throw house parties? Because you should never drink. Yeah, that's terrible. Receding hairline. I know a lot about that. Oh yeah. My daughter was, she was probably about 6, maybe younger. She was little. She was combing my hair as little girls often do to their dads, and she's like, "You got a bald spot back here." And that was a long time ago, and it's been working on it ever since. Now it's just all a big bald spot. All right. Yeah, I almost get the chills just every time I play this song. So everything surrounding it is so cool, and I find it a very enjoyable piece. So this is The Shadow's Embrace. Renee says she does not remember the story of telling me I was going bald. You were pretty little at the time. I'm not surprised by that. Best of times, the worst of times. Charles Dickens, that's good. Cat in a coma. Cat has claws at the end of the paws. Coma is a pause at the end of the claws. On topic, what did the bald man exclaim when he received a comb for a present? Thanks, I'll never part with it. It's good to make fun of bald people. It just is. That's true. These aren't jokes. They're riddles. What happened to you? I'm guessing there's an inside story to the Datsun B210 there. Love that moody guitar stuff. Thank you, Doc. Much appreciated. What did the Buddha say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. I feel like I'm missing something about Buddhism in that one. We'll roll with it. No worries. Okay. So, who can guess what's happening right now? Who can guess? Anybody? Anybody got any guesses as to where we've arrived? About what's going on? No guesses? Maybe I'll just have to tell you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the G sharp minor portion of the show. You are welcome. This piece is called To Think Beyond Rationality. Something about salt. Salted mushroom. Oh, okay. Yes, yeah, you see, yeah. Salt or not, mushrooms are gross. That's completely true. But you don't like salt. That's interesting. Salt, yeah, I like, you know, I definitely find as much exercising as I do, I definitely got to keep up my, thank you, Barry. I got to keep up my salt intake to keep my blood pressure from going too low. But Gak is not a salt guy. That's okay. You got to do your own thing, baby. Barry, yes, thank you very much. Thank you for, this has been a very nice tipping night. Thank you all throughout both shows. Greatly appreciated. That is pretty awesome. I actually, okay, story time. So there is, I'm gonna do another shout out here. There's a streamer known as the Reluctant Hermit, and more of a video game guy. He usually plays a little. He's got a lute. And he'll do a little music in there. He doesn't do too many dedicated music streams, but very very cool person. And he doesn't know this yet, but on my upcoming album there is a song titled "The Reluctant Hermit." I need to actually let him know that, but I screwed up the other day. So I occasionally will tip some of the streamers that I follow. And what I typically tip $5.55. So I'm watching the Reluctant Hermit. I go to give him a tip, and I missed the decimal place. And it went through. So I tipped the guy $555, right? And it came up on his screen, and I'm like, oh, I have just screwed up so bad. Because I'm not in a position where I can just let go of $555. So right away I typed it, I'm like, that was a mistake. My apologies. I meant to tip $5.55. I felt like such a dork. It was kind of brutal. But you know, sometimes we do airhead stuff, and I'm the king of that. So he was very cool about it, and he's like, hey, we'll work this out. Don't worry. He's like, are you going to be okay with that? So we've got everything in place now to get that reversed. I did tip him the $5.55 after that. So 42 Effects, Glenn, thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated. You guys are awesome. Oxygen is for losers. Maybe it's time for us to spend 2 hours WOO without oxygen. I don't know who V is. $1,000 accident. Did they mean to tip $10 maybe, and had the same kind of thing? That's brutal. That's brutal. Yeah. You know, and it's concerning too, because you're like, I think the biggest tip I've had on here is 50, which is very cool. And even when I get $5, it's like, hey, that's totally awesome. She meant to tip 100. Okay. Yeah. And you know, you go 10 times too much, kind of hurts. So yeah, you know, but as a streamer, if I was to see like a $500 tip or a $1,000 tip, I'd be like, whoa, that is awesome. So, you know, you hate getting that person's, you know, kind of hopes all up and everything. And then you're like, that was a mistake. Sorry. So yes. Yeah. She meant to tip 100, accidentally tipped 1,000. Still $100 is a very fine tip. And yeah, I don't know Richie personally. I think Doc does, but I've seen his show a few times, and I would imagine he was probably pretty cool about making sure that everything was straightened out. I certainly hope so. Big tipper for the rest of the show. Yeah, you know what? She deserved it. She deserved it. Anyway, let's move forward. We just did What's that last song called? That song was To Think Beyond Rationality. The next song is Thought Is All I Am. Yeah, I don't know why you need the toothpicks. The Justin Bieber special is torture enough. That's all you need to do to hurt someone, and that hurts bad. Speaking of other musicians I'm not a fan of. All right. So we're coming up on the last couple songs of the evening, my friends, my people, whoever you are, wherever you are. This is what we do. For anyone who's just coming in, I'm the Mad Poet. We are the Mad Poet Society. You are an audience. We do music. We talk about weird stuff. I'm bald. You may or may not be bald. I don't know. Because I can't see you guys. I see actually just not much. I see just a big monitor with sheet music, and that's about it. Holden, thank you very much. You are appreciated. Keep holding tight. All right, so these last couple songs, these are often the reason that I like to play this album so much. Because the whole album I think is very fun from my perspective to play. I think it's a pretty entertaining album overall for people who are into this kind of music. If you're into Justin Bieber, you're probably not going to be checking out the Mad Poet streams or albums. It's just not really going to match up. But for those of us who are known as, intelligent people, this is pretty good stuff. So this one, I don't know. There's really nothing. Okay. Dr. Gack, F sharp minor. Here we are. We have arrived at the F sharp minor portion of the show. And I hope you don't like it, everybody. Because we're going to play F sharp minor. Because that's what this song's written in. Yeah, I don't know. There's just... what is it I like so much about this? Some of the kind of interchange of rhythmic devices, which there's really nothing complex going on, but there's just places where it goes from like sixteenths to eighths to there's just like this section. That I got these like really cool 9 chords in here. I don't know, just stuff like that. It makes it feel, I don't know, right. It's got, yeah. Let's find out what we like about this. Turn on the auto-tune and whine out some songs. Yes. Oh, that was Teresa's idea. My bad. I thought I saw that under your name. Therese, welcome to the F sharp minor portion of the show. Everybody, welcome to the F sharp minor portion of the show. I think we've done F sharp minor at least one other tune tonight. Nonetheless, definitely one of my favorite song titles. This is called A Pile of Skulls. What do you call a magic dog? A labracadabrador. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom? Because the P is silent. You know, Renee had a good one when she was little that's along these lines. She said, what do you call a rug in an automobile? A carpet. No, sorry, I got that wrong. I don't remember how she told it. She told it better. I'm such a dork. It's a good thing that I don't mind being a dork in front of people because I'm good at it. All right. Got it. There she is. I'm glad she remembers that. All right. So this last song, this is the one that I kind of made an interesting mistake when I was composing it. I was composing in E Phrygian, and I started using a sharp 7, and usually use that with an Aeolian, as of course you all know. And so it just led to this really interesting set of consecutive half steps. And I realized it partway through, and I'm like, I'm just going to go with it, because it came up with these really cool chords and stuff, and made for an interesting bit of improvisation. What's the difference between a drummer and a percussionist? Oh, okay, story time, kids. So, Doc and I used to work together, and as I've mentioned many times, he and I also work together musically. So we work together, you know, at an actual job, a real job, a grown-up job, which is stupid. Being a grown-up is stupid. And so, you know, we talked a lot of music. So one day I said, hey, Doc, what's the difference between a drummer and a percussionist? And he said, it's not a joke, actually. This one is not a joke. This is just a kicking story about Doc. And so Doc says, a drummer plays drums. A percussionist can hit anything and make it sound good. And then he went on to describe himself as a drummer. Okay, jump forward, I don't know exactly how long, probably a couple weeks later, might have been a couple months later. And there's a bunch of people standing around. I forget how it came up, but Doc started demonstrating some stuff. He grabs a couple of drill bits, these nice long drill bits, thin ones. He starts tapping on some pipes in the scaffolding that we're in, tapping on his toolbox, and then on this other part of the structure. He's flipping the drill bits around, he's hitting stuff with his hands, and next thing you know, we're all just sitting here, standing here, just like drop-jawed, watching this percussion performance. He's like, oh yeah, that's like a snare there. Okay, there's like a hi-hat. And he's just all over the freaking place. And it was amazing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so you're just gonna call yourself a drummer after you just hit all that stuff and make it sound good. It was cool. That's one of those things. It's like, it's unfortunate we didn't have cell phones back in the day, because that would be a really cool one to have a record of. And of course, knowing Doc as well as I do, he'd be like, oh, I don't want people to see it. Wah, wah, wah. I made a mistake. Wah, wah, wah. That's exactly how he sounds every time we talk about my album. I wish we could do Mental Floss again. Wah, wah, wah. He doesn't sound quite like that. He's not a whiner. But he's the kind of person who's never satisfied with his own performance. Wah, wah, wah. If I was never satisfied with my own performance, I would never do these shows, because I'm making mistakes all over the place. And then it's like, okay, Smeghead, how are you going to get yourself out of this one? All right, well, that's this note, so let's try this. I mean, you guys heard the errant chord in the last album. I was like, whatever, man. Wah, wah, wah. All right. Maybe I'll have to write a song someday called Wah, Wah, Wah and dedicate it to Doc. I probably won't do that. All right, you guys. This is the last song of the evening. This is called Yo, You Never Grew Up. So Glenn agrees. You don't know. Well, that's good to know. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Last song of the evening. I'll see if I can get through this without laughing. I probably won't be able to. This is called Before Eternity, and I'll see you on the other side. Mom! He's doing it again! He's picking on me! This was a really fun show. Again, everyone who has come in to watch, to listen, to smell, you are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being here. I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Go to themadpoet.net. I have 64 albums released. They're all available there for streaming for free. There are links to my Bandcamp, my Noise Trade, back here to Twitch, to my YouTube, to other stuff. And it's awesome. I'm going to be back next Friday. I'm doing 4 albums next Friday, 2 at noon, 2 at 8 p.m. I don't know what they're going to be yet. But again, thank you all. Thank you for the new followers that I've gotten today. Thank you for all of the tips. This has been a very generous group of people today. Greatly appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep doing your thing. Whatever you do, do it well. And hope